Howdy, 7th grade. Today we are going to be talking about how to graph some inequalities on a number line. So inequalities are something we have seen before. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple just to make sure that it's something that we are comfortable with. So an example of an inequality we've seen before would be something like x is less than 5. And this is how you would write it. This means less than. This is 5, so x is less than 5. And that's about it. You could also have like 2x is greater than 7, or x plus 3 is less than or equal to 10. All these things are inequalities. So what we're going to do today is learn how to graph them, and when we do that, we're going to use it on a number line. So we're going to jump right in, and I'm going to show you guys an example, and then we'll talk about how it works a little bit. So I want to look at this example first. So my first example is going to be x is less than 5. What we're going to do here is start off by drawing a number line. Always a good start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can be 5, negative 5, and I'll go up and down to 10, and negative 10, just for good measure. And what we're going to do is this says x is less than 5. So we're going to start just by ignoring this and thinking of it as x equals 5. So we want to think x equals 5. So we're going to find 5 on here. I'm going to draw a circle above it. So that's my first step. So I'm going to draw a circle. After that, this says less than. Less than is going to be on the smaller side of my number line, which is over to the left. So I'm going to draw a line going this way with an arrow. And the arrow just says it keeps on going that way. So if I picked like negative 15 way over there, it's still less than 5. So we're good to go. So 2 is going to be draw an arrow. And last but not least, number 3 is going to be to check if we need to fill in the circle. Check for the circle. And what happens with the circle is the circle tells us whether or not we want to include 5. So is 5 less than 5? The answer to that would be no, it's not. So it's going to be open. And so a little note here would be open means we're going to exclude. Closed means include. And an open circle just means we don't fill it in. What a closed circle would look like is just coloring it in like this. But again, we're not going to do that because we are not including it. So we'll try 1 or 2 more just so you can see what this looks like. Another example is going to be x is greater than or equal to negative 2. So I'm going to draw my number line with 0, negative 5, 5. And what I want to do is I'm going to start by thinking x equals negative 2. So when I do that, I'm going to draw my circle at negative 2 right here, and that's where x is. Now I know it's going to be greater than, so that's going off to the right. And last but not least, it says that we are including 2. So x has to be greater than or equal to negative 2. So because that means we want this number, this is included. Because of that, we're going to fill in this circle here. And just like that, we're done. So I want to real quick go over what signs mean open and what signs mean closed. We're going to have an open circle anytime we see greater than or less than, or if we see a does not equal sign, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And we'll see a closed circle anytime we see greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, or just equal to. All those mean we want closed circles. So a couple more examples here. Let's try one of these with the not equal to. So if I have x does not equal 5, I'm going to have my 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, negative 5 just for good measure. And I'm going to start by drawing my circle here. And if x does not equal 5, that means everything else works. So that means the numbers in this direction work, and the numbers in this direction are going to work. So I'm going to draw an arrow in both directions. And then I have to ask myself, am I including 5 or am I not including 5? And the answer there is I am not including 5 if we see our does not equal sign is in the open section. This is really important. Make sure you have that. But our does not equal sign is in the open section, so we're going to leave that as an open circle, and just like that, we're done. Conversely, if we wrote x equals 5, we're going to do the exact opposite of what we just did. So let's look at what that would be. If I start with a 0 here, negative 5 there, 5, 10. If I want x equals 5, I'm going to draw a circle. Nothing else works, so I don't need to draw any arrows. And it is inclusive, so I'm going to color it in. So x equals 5 would just be a colored in dot over the 5. Now, sometimes we're going to have a bit more difficult problems. So what we're going to want to do is to include some ways on how we can simplify some inequalities. So just in case we get an inequality that looks like x plus 2 is greater than 3, what we can do is we can treat this the same way we treat an equation. So we treat like an equation. And when we treat this like an equation, what happens is I want to get the x by itself still. So I have x, sorry, that should be an x. X plus 2 is greater than 3. If I want to get rid of this 2, what I need to do is do the opposite of what it's doing right now, and the 2 is adding. The opposite of adding can be subtracting, so I can do x plus 2 minus 2. That's going to be greater than 3 minus 2. Friendly reminder, do it to one side means do it to the other. So x plus 2 minus 2 is just going to be x. That's going to be greater than 3 minus 2, which is 1. And we end up with x is greater than 1, which once again we can graph kind of like that. So friendly note, just looking at this, greater than means it's going to the right. Not only that, but my circle here is open because it is greater than and not greater than or equal to. So this is what a lot of our problems are going to look like. Just so you all know, the one thing we do not want to do, and we'll go into this a little bit more later, is that we do not multiply by a negative. And I want to show you guys why. So if I have, for example, let's do 3 minus x is going to be greater than or equal to 2. I want to solve this first just by adding and subtracting. So to get this x positive, I'm going to add an x. And what that'll give me is 3 minus x plus x is greater than or equal to 2 plus x, which is the same thing as saying 3 greater than or equal to 2 plus x. And then we can continue here, subtract 2 from both sides. I have 3 minus 2 greater than or equal to 2 plus x minus 2, which tells me that 1 is greater than or equal to x. Just by flipping this around, I can also say that x is less than or equal to 1. Now let's try it by multiplying a negative. So this is, again, what we do not want to do. So I'm going to write a line, and I'm going to write don't do this, because I know some of our classmates like to watch this without their headphones, so I need to make it very clear writing down that we don't want to do this. If I have 3 minus x is greater than or equal to 2, I'm going to start by getting x alone. I'm going to do that. I'm going to subtract 3. So 3 minus x minus 3 can be greater than or equal to 2 minus 3. It's negative x is greater than or equal to negative 1. Multiply both sides by negative 1, and I suddenly have x is greater than or equal to 1. But over here, I said x is less than or equal to 1. And it can't be both, and as it turns out, this side right here is right. The side that we did not multiply by a negative is the right one, and this side right here is wrong. So do not multiply by a negative. Other than that, you can do whatever you want to both sides. Simplify it, good to go. And just for good measure, I'm going to solve this onto my number line, drawing a number line 0, 5, negative 5, and to get less than or equal to 1, I would want to make sure it's going to the left because that's the less side, and it is or equal to, which means we're going to fill in the dot. In any case, we got just a few of these practice problems today from the practice set in the book on lesson 62, so I'd like you guys to work on that. Once you're done with that, put that on the back of your notes so I can check them when I get back. I'll see y'all then. Bye.